Welcome to my shop. I'm Tom Ribbecke. This is Bobby Vega, and we have been talking for a long time about getting some sort of a video blog or a video show. We've been asked by a few people to do this, and covering some of the aspects of music and creation for both guitar makers and musicians in the North Bay here. And we thought this would be a great chance to sort of set this up, just talk a little bit about this, in addition to the great project that I'm working on for Jack Cassidy, the most innovative bass that I think I've ever built, short of the original Vega bass. And so Bobby and I are just hanging out in the shop today and just relaxing a little bit, just going to talk a little bit about what we're doing and what you can expect. So introduce the great maestro and my great friend Bobby Vega.
Hi, Bobby Vega here, with Tom Ribbecke at the barn.
You know, people watch us work together, and they always say we sort of have our own language, and I think the most recent guy was a fellow who came in to look at wood.
Yeah.
And we went into one of our, because we've worked together for years on instruments. The original Bobby Vega bass was, well, you could tell that story, you know, I bought you...
It started just with me bringing you an Ernie Ball bass.
That's right, I forgot about the Ernie Ball bass.
I have an Earthwood bass, and I said I wanted you to make me an archtop bass, and you said, okay, you know, we can do that. So I brought you an Ernie Ball bass because I wanted you to hear what that sounded like. And then after that, some time passed by, and my son Rocco was born, and I got an MTD bass that had Myrtle.
Oh, Michael Tobias.
Yeah, Michael Tobias bass. Myrtle, 35-inch scale, spruce top. And then I handed you a solo CD, and then I played you my jazz bass. And then you did the first halfling guitar from
Paul
Samanda. And you were at the guitar show and you said, Bobby, I think I can finish your bass now. I think I have the right technology. And I went, what? And then you hit the low E note, and I went, and that's how the downbeat of that started.
It's amazing to remember that, because
for me, in that particular, in those kind of sequences, that was it. So yeah, that's how we got started in a relationship and talking, and your passion and my passion, and not weighing on each other, but that's how this stuff came about.
You know, it's great to remember that, because, you know, my world is a world full of instruments. It just, as I open that door and they all fall out, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience, because I remember my initial response to this is, I can't make Bobby this incredible, deeply musical individual, and I use that word musical for a good reason. You know, there's a difference between musicality and just being a good technician. There's a huge difference, and Bobby always reminds me to remain musical. And from the moment that I met him, I've always had that energy, and I've always said I could see the great genius within him. Listening to him play is always an incredible joy. There's always something new to it, but I couldn't make him a regular instrument that was just a big guitar with bass strings on it, because that's what everybody did. I didn't want to do that, and so when Paul and I got involved with the Paul Samanda said, can you build an instrument that nobody's ever made before, can you do whatever you ever wanted, it all kind of came together, because between Bobby's challenging me to build an instrument that was different than anything that had been built, and Paul's, I focused on the bass because I thought that would be the most difficult instrument. I think it was 7 years you graciously waited for that instrument.
Well, no, I'm lucky that I mean, the thing is that I couldn't tell you. I didn't tell you what to make.
Yeah,
I just played for you, right? Because you know the recipes, I don't. So, you know, I learned so much in the process of just playing for you and then getting out of your way, because you know all the recipes. And what a lot of people don't know, and what you've taught me, is that when you make an instrument, you can make an instrument that's way over the top. It's like having an Aston Martin or a Bentley. You know, that kind of like, it's an instrument, it's not a product. But when you get to know somebody and you get to know them, you see how they play, you're dialing it in on top of all those elements. There's that extra thing. And man, there's nothing like the harmony. You still get, you know, it's true. And that's what it is. So by taking that time and not telling you what to do or whatever, I got something that was way beyond anybody's dreams. And the guitar has dimension. It goes forward, backwards, left, and right. And it's almost like a piano or something, where, you know, you play a chord and then you stop it, all of a sudden it goes. and there's just like dead silence. So it's very, very cool. It's, to me, like I tell people, it's almost like a sailboat. You look at it, but now if you know what to do or how it lets you open up and do all these cool things, but you have to make it go.
That's really true. To me, it's interesting because you use the word sailboat, because I always talk about what's an instrument, and an instrument is something that responds to the environment. Used to be cameras were instruments, but now they're all made, and they still are, but they're a little less personal. Scientific instruments, measurements. A cabinet is an instrument where the door opens up, and that's its only interaction with the room.
Right.
But a guitar is a holy object. It's a sacred object. And to put the kind of energy into that instrument to build, the kind of spectacular response, and to be able to take that with a client individually and work with them is the greatest thing a guitar maker can do in his lifetime. And so when working with you is really a huge treat. It also opened the door for us, tremendous friendship we've developed, our ability to communicate when nobody else understands it, which has actually been some really funny stuff, because we work so closely on voicing the first half things endlessly, on getting these instruments to respond. You would say they don't fire right, you couldn't lie. You drove me crazy, but it was what set the bar higher. And now I love it when people watch us and then they say, "Can you translate? What did he mean when he
what
leaves?"
Does he mean? What did he say?
That's a huge
speaking
joy.
Bobanese.
And that's why I thought if we did this blog and we focused our unique insight between us over probably 100 years or so of experience, in this incredible area in the North Bay where we have great musicians and great guitar makers and people furiously creating. I love that. I remember reading that on the Super Session liner notes. These guys are furiously creative. And that's kind of what all of us are doing here. We're in this, big sort of mosh pit, making everything we can. I would like to invite people to come sit in with us and talk to us and talk about their creative process and talk about this. This really is the Cremona of California, of the United States. It's very much like Italy here. I feel like we live in the world of the connected instrument makers and musicians that go so way back. And when this new project popped up with Jack Cassidy, who is just such a seminal figure in all of our lives, it was spectacular to have you here too, because he came to me really because he knew you and because he knew my work with you. You met with him, you played the instrument for him, he got to examine how you play it, and then he came here very specifically to talk to me about his interpretation. And as a result of this, we've been working on this instrument and trying to get it built and building a bass that will produce a sound that is more like a double bass. It has all of the stuff that the Vega bass has and all of the spice and all of that imaging in real time. But we'll also do what Jack really needs, which is, as he put my finger on his string and showed me how he plucks the string, that's how he pulls music out of these instruments. It's almost like mining in this sacred object. So this instrument is really a special one. And so you were here, I did some quick fitting with you, standing in for Jack. I've been looking at his videos.
Right.
At your suggestion, you said, well, let's look at the way Jack holds an instrument. Let's look at the way his arm is, his hand position is.
His placement, that's right.
His placement, and where he's playing on the strings. And because of all of that, I went back and re-looked at all of that, and there's some fascinating stuff with Jack's beautiful Epiphone bass.
Right.
And I noticed the plane in which he plays the instrument is not 90 degrees to his body. I noticed that the hand position is typically in a higher place than many, looking for those odd harmonic feels and whatever. So I redesigned this instrument, and we had a quick fitting with it. I've actually changed it a little bit because of that. We've mocked it up in poster board, and Jordy's going to hand me this instrument because we do things kind of like in a less formal way here. The great thing about doing this video blog is that, or whatever we're going to do with this, is that hopefully it'll open up some great doors and just connect more people in the North Bay. There are people who do this, and hopefully around the country.
Around the world.
Around the world. This is the taper of the instrument, as you can see here, and obviously this is a poster board mock-up. What I've done is to determine that based on watching Jack play and watching the angle of the bass, as he seems to be comfortable playing it, I've angled this way, and this is with great kudos to my great friend Linda Manzer for allowing me to use this wedge shape, which is really her idea, ultimately. But I'm going to use this wedge shape to allow Jack to have his arm in a great position here. I've diminished some of this upper bout to give us more real estate for the bass, and I based this on my reverse teardrop guitar. Now, what I've done now is to change the overall angle of it, and now it is no longer, it's not even parallel in one dimension, it's kicked up so it goes like this. That'll capture enough air mass in here to create a low bass frequency, which will be very much like his balalaika, which was the instrument he showed me. He said, this thing has this incredible tone. You know, Rick Turner modified this for me 30 years ago. I can't play it because it's so huge on stage, but I took that instrument, he brought it here, and I studied it. So you stick this in your pocket and see it. It's not going to feel a lot different, but I watched his. I'm trying to maximize the air mass in here, and have now what I'm determining is what the angle of the side should be onto the face there, so that it sits with, and I'm kind of blocking your space here, but so
it's like this, you know, whatever it is.
This is what I see when I see Jack playing. I see him playing primarily up in this area on his electric bass. By putting the fret at the 16th fret joint, we've been able to reduce the length which he'll have to extend his arm out to play, which seems consonant with what I see him holding his epi bass with, and still maintain our 34-inch scale length. Not really wanting to have to go to 35. 34 is, I think, really playable. And I've increased the lower bout here since the last fitting, and I've changed this angle like this. And so, you have any instant reaction to this as being less comfortable?
I mean, now you know you're set to play here. Here's the spread between left to right. Your back is comfortable. And this is where I haven't seen him play in a long time, but I think that's in that area.
Seems that's the primary thing. You know, I've watched him also playing down here, but when he does that, he adjusts his arm.
Yeah, that's right. It's a tone. Yeah,
and he seems to primarily sit when he plays.
Shorter string. Strong. Yeah, right here it's more of a taunt, right to the point. This over here is the string is swinging more.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
this is more pop. This is
more impactful down here. This is more even harmonic series. This is more odd, like a clarinet. If you play octaves on your guitar, you play harmonics up at the 12th fret, you'll hear what sounds like an odd harmonic, which is not odd in the sense of, oh, that's an odd guy or an odd duck. It's in the sense of it's odd as in a number series. They're even in odd harmonics that have certain sounds, and clarinet is very odd harmonic sounding, so you'd hear that in that place. Jack is very into the Mingus-y kind of sound, and so this is what we're trying to do. And having Bobby here to stand in relative to, physically they're not the same size. Physically they don't play the same way, but from both of our perspectives, even a monster player like Bobby has to look at Jack as being an inspiration in his life.
Well, he has been, because, I mean, in all honesty, he's the first guy that I saw in the 60s play chords.
Isn't it amazing?
So, he's the first guy, not to me, in other words, I've seen a lot of great players, but he had a sound where he was playing chords in the upper register. I used to go to a Limbic when it was on Judah Street, and I was watching him make his basses. And they were like $3,500, $4,500 back then. And that's like 68, 69,
wow.
Back then.
Wow.
So he's, I've always been a fan of Jack's playing, because he's always pushed envelope. It was him and Phil Lesh that's probably paid for all the R&D for all the electronics that are on basses now. They were the first guys with all the onboard preamps and all that other stuff, and the biamping and triamping, and Jack and Phil were the first guys with quad basses. The string coming out of each amp and a stack, a line array for each string.
I remember that.
Yeah, so he did all the R&D. Him and Phil Lesh and Jack Cassidy are kind of like the godfathers of today's electric bass as far as all the electronics and the sounds. So they know it. They played it all. So, and I've run into Jack over the years, and then got to talk to him, playing on different bills with him and stuff. So it was a great thing. So when I guess we fielded the call, he called me, and I talked to him, and as soon as I spoke to him, I said, I got to bring him to you, because I need to put you guys together and get out of the way, and that's what I was doing. So he packed up some instruments and an amplifier, came up, and I spent time with him, and then after that, I brought him here and got out of your way, and now we're off to the races. Here we go. It's that. So
well, it's part of the beautiful aspect of creating, because I think people think people think about creation, and one of the things I've done a lot of in the last few years is to work with troubled kids, and then now troubled adults like my own age who are maybe more troubled. But to me, there's a real art to creation itself as a process. And Bobby and I have talked a lot about this. We've done some special events where we'll go out and we'll speak to crowds. Bobby will play the bass and he'll speak, and then I'll speak. I'll speak about the act of really what it means to be creating every day for 40 some odd years, to create something upon which everybody can also jump in and help, what his life has been like. And the reality is that for speaking to people who are artists in the making, who are in college age, and people coming through that kind of time in their life, you get to see a couple of old guys like us, who are not old, just say we're beginning to approach the elder middle age. That's what I like to think of it. We're both still playing, we're both still carrying on, and the reality is we can really help to understand what it means to create for a living, because what you study in school is one thing, but when you get up and you deal creativity every single day for 40 years, it isn't free. It doesn't come without a price. And sometimes the people tap me on the shoulder and they ask me about this, and I'll get my lecture about creativity isn't free. And it's really true for the great creative individuals like Bobby and I, who I wouldn't put myself in Bobby's category, but for us who live the creation every day of what we do. To me, this is why I wanted to do this blog, this show. What intrigues me about this life, because it's a deeply spiritual path for me, and I think nothing made me feel better than having Jack say to me, well, your instruments have a healing quality. The word is that your instruments have a healing quality, and for me, that's the way I can practice on the very highest level that I can practice this art. It's a little bit like when you go out. I watched you take a stage with great players. I've seen you do this a number of times, and the energy in the whole crowd just goes whoomp. It just comes up a notch when you step on the stage, because you've got that ability somehow to bring that out in everybody around you. And that's one of the things about creation, and why I thought this was such a cool thing for us to do, because we can go from the sublime, idiot asshole behavior to to really focused creative spiritual behavior in a heartbeat, and get away with it.
Well, what I learned is that the instrument that you made for me, when I play it, there's emotional reactions to it.
That's cool.
Right? Like my jazz bass, the one that I always play, and I have a lot of guitars.
You have a lot of great guitars.
Yeah. When I play my Fender bass, some part of somebody's body's going to move. Right? And like in other words, you're going to, I talked to somebody last night. The guy goes, yeah, I was at the gig you was at, man. There was all these people, dancing. I said, yes, because I was there. I said, I don't know if you noticed about me, but I could probably make the dead person label.
You should have been on that Chappelle show with
So we're talking, but the thing is that's one thing. But when I play the instrument that you made for me, it's inviting, it's engaging, and people have an emotional reaction to it. So it's totally like another instrument, and with the instruments that you do, more personality, other things that you couldn't do before are possible, and so that's why I'm here, and that's why we're doing what we do.
Yeah, it's a huge honor.
It's cool. I'm lucky.
So much of what we do has become a creative process between the two of us, particularly with the bass, because the bass is just the most frustrating, extraordinary instrument. And a guitarist, frankly, is going to make people maybe a little less happy, but making a great guitar is a lot easier than making a great bass. I would not have been able to make the progress I have without having, your ears are different than mine and so highly tuned to the subtleties of these things, and as we all talk about being trained to respond to the environment too,
Yeah, it's the short version of the long story.
If you'd like a translation, you can send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll send you the entire Urban Vega dictionary. And
that's right.
Because as time goes on and we continue to do this blog, we'll have a word of the day or something, and we'll have to examine that so you yourself can learn to speak Veganese and can translate. My good friend here, how he speaks. Of course, I'll just go on. And so everything's a story in life, and so. I think, I just wanted to make sure that we sort of set the table so people knew why we were doing this, and I think it'll be just a great force in the North Bay to try to bring. I've always been about community. I think that we have a huge one here, and it'll be about our opportunity to bring some more of these folks together and into your environment so you can really listen to what it means to live this life of creation every day, not to fool around with it. And many of us, me at least, I feel like I'm faking it every day, and it's been 42 or 3 years of this now. I got another 15 years of this mayhem probably. We're also trying to have some fun with it.
No, it's time to enjoy ourselves, but it's time to inspire people or open people up. We're not saying that this is the only way or the right way or the wrong way. It's just to open stuff so you hear stuff in other ways and do what you're going to do, with it. What you got out of it, Anyway, I was showing everybody a pick because I played. It's like. Pick.